Have you ever had to create a presentation, design a cover, a brochure, or an advertisement for something? Most have, be it in school or in their personal lives. When utilizing graphic design, it all begins with the elements of design. This is not just an art thing, but is applicable to other subjects and projects that you create. If you try and Google the elements of design, you will notice that the numbers on the list can sometimes vary. It's kind of frustrating. I'm not going to go into the definitions or explanations of these terms, as there are several videos and resources online that explain them rather well. Instead, I'd like to show some basic considerations regarding layout. Remember, people will often go to school and study this as a degree. I'm only going to go through a taster. However, there are some basic elements that everyone should know when beginning a project that could improve their work. Fortunately, most of these principles and elements of design also overlap with the principles and elements of art. Without further ado, let's get started on how we can improve our work. For sake of time, let's say we need to communicate some type of brochure or poster to an audience. As an example, I'm going to communicate the element of line through photography and text. I've gone and taken various photos from my environment to illustrate this and to include in my poster. Maybe I should have taken more.
This would be my first tip.
If taking photos for your work, take more than you need and photograph the same thing from different angles and proximities. It's easier to take additional photos you may not need, rather than going out and having to take pictures again. Focusing on my 7 photos, the first thing I probably want to consider is whether to use one single photo or a few. I've decided I'm going to focus on one, since the others are a little bit similar, and sometimes less is more. I also like this photo because the lines in the composition also fall on the rule of thirds. Next, I need to consider my orientation. Which way will the photo look best? Let's check by rotating it. Let's go ahead and trial some ideas. Most students will start out like this. To be honest, it's kind of boring and looks like a default template that we often see when using some type of word processor from the 80s. How can we make it better? It kind of looks better already. Fill the page with the image. But now we have another problem. It's hard to see the text. We need to change the color so there is more contrast. So it's a little bit better, but not perfect. What else could we do to show we are skilled and thoughtful designers? Text has hierarchy. Some parts are more important than others, and they should carry more visual weight to grab our viewers' attention. We see this everywhere with titles and slogans. Maybe we should experiment with scale or size. Now the size of the title has been increased and made bold. We can take it even further. Let's avoid the centered alignment and move things around a bit. Let's explore some layout possibilities. How can the text interact with the photo and complement it overall? How can the text work alongside the image to create a whole? I'm going to experiment with page orientation again and continue playing with scale and try aligning text with left and right margins. Look at this. Most would consider this a small decision and often overlook it. Which looks better? Text aligned to the right towards the edge of the page or aligned to the left within the photo? Notice space or a margin has been left towards the edge of the paper. Sometimes students put their text box too close to the edge and well, it doesn't look as good. Leave some padding. If you know how, you should also consider your line spacing. This can at times help. The main point to remember is to experiment. Remember, you can also play with the cropping of your photo. Play with page orientation, scale, layout, contrast, proximity, alignment, margins, font or typeface, size, and color. You only have a few seconds to grab your viewer's attention. What techniques will you use? Good luck.
Mr. CTV.
Mr. CTV.
Mr. CTV.